Good evening and welcome to the February 2nd, 2026 Planning Commission meeting. Mr. Peckins, would you take the roll call, please?
Hauser.
Here.
Jones.
Here.
Bachman.
Here.
Boletich.
Here.
Harden.
Here.
Kenjuk.
Here.
Murphy.
Here.
Stone.
Here.
Okay, we have a quorum. For those of you who are watching at home or in the audience, you may have heard a new member that was announced here. Mr. Berletich is taking and filling the vacancy that was left by Jessica Clauser, who is now on City Council. David, welcome to the Planning Commission. I know you're going to be a fantastic asset to our group here, but if you won't mind, take a moment and tell the public about you a little bit, and we'll get started.
Okay, thank you, Christian. That's a lot of pressure. Fantastic asset. But once again, my name is David Berletich. I'm a longtime resident of the area. My wife and I raised our three daughters in Rochester Hills, just a couple of miles from here. Moved down to Rochester about 3 years ago. Two of my daughters have moved out, one's still living with us, so we're getting away with the smaller house that way. But started becoming active in the city, volunteered and was lucky enough to be appointed to a couple of boards, joined the Historical Society locally, and just trying to do what I can, my small part, to support this fantastic community of Rochester, which we all appreciate so much. Thank you.
Okay.
Welcome.
Thank you very much, David. It's actually on line item number 2 on my agenda, but I'm happy to do it now. Okay, let's do this. Pledge of allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. So, again, for those in the audience, people watching at home, at the last meeting, Chairperson Gasson resigned after 30 years of service on the Planning Commission. So right now, we are going to have an election to appoint the chairperson to fill Mr. Gasson's term as chairperson until May. Okay, so it's just going to be the chairperson. That'll be it. We'll take nominations and we'll go from there. So I guess I'll open it up. Does anyone have a nomination? Mayor?
I would like to nominate Dan Bachman.
Okay. Are there any other nominations?
I would like to nominate Richard Kenzik.
Okay. Mr. Kenzik, are there any other nominations? Okay, so Mr. Banda or City Attorney Crott, I don't know how you want to do this. Okay.
If I may.
Yes, please.
So the ordinance is silent as to the actual procedure on how to do this. I know that so it's really up to Planning Commission how you want the vote to go in what order. I would say if there's, I know the city council members are familiar with this process, but when city council does its mayor and mayor pro tem, typically what happens is whoever was nominated first gets voted on, and then if there's enough votes for that person, then the next then there wouldn't be a need for another vote. So if the first person voted on gets 5, that would be enough, and then you wouldn't go to the second person. So you can do how you want to, but if you're looking for a possibility, that's how City Council does it when they do mayor and mayor pro tem.
Okay, thank you. I guess, do we have any comments or anything? Do we open it up or?
I mean, you could ask the 2 candidates.
Yeah.
They want to tell everybody why would they accept number 1?
Yeah, so.
And if they did, maybe a little bit.
Sure. Okay, so gentlemen, I'll start with Mr. Bachman. You were nominated. Do you accept the nomination?
I'll accept the nomination. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
And Mr. Kenzik, you were nominated. Do you accept?
Yes, I do.
Okay, Mr. Bachman, if you want, certainly if you want to add a little bit to the process, the nomination, qualifications, whatever you want to say, the floor is yours.
Well, I'm glad there's multiple nominations. I think it's a good thing for the commission to decide amongst the commissioners who they want to lead the commission. I suppose you've all seen my work on the commission, and that should probably weigh significantly. I've led the Stony Point Homeowners Association and various boards for about 7 years. So I have a bit of experience with Robert's Rules of Order and all that stuff, and I think I'm well prepared to lead if you'd like me to do that. So thank you.
Okay, wonderful, thank you. Mr. Kenzik?
Thank you. I've been in the community now for 23 years. I've been supporting my community directly for 15 years and part of the Stony Creek Ridge Homeowners Association. I've got a lot of different experience in a lot of different project areas where we've implemented a LED light conversion. We've reclaimed a area that was full of Phragmites and turned it into a park-like structure. I have experience in things like erosion problems and storm sewer issues. So being on this committees and stuff within the city, I've got a lot of experience that lends itself to what we talk about here on the Planning Commission.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Banda?
I think we're blessed to have two people that are even willing to do that. It's a big job. It's an important job. We've had times before where everybody didn't get knocked in the face.
The hot
Take a
potato.
step back.
Yeah.
So I thank you, Coach, on even being willing to do it. And again, it's all a team, right? And you've done an awesome job being the vice chair. Yes, so we can't go wrong. Let's put that would be
And I completely agree. I mean, we're so fortunate to have 8 people up here who really know what they're doing, and then to have 2 people who are in a position to be the chairperson. And it's a good problem to have, I'll say, okay? So both of you incredibly qualified and capable, all right? So I guess we'll do it the way that we do it in city council. Is that right, Jeff? And we'll just have Jeremy do the roll call and just kind of go from there. So you need, what, 5 votes to be the chairperson? Okay.
First name.
Yeah, so the first person, okay, so I guess I would say, Mr. Peckins, if you want to take the roll call in favor of Mr. Bachman.
Correct.
Or I don't want to say in favor of, but if you want to vote, because it's not in favor of or one or the other. It's if you want to vote for Mr. Bachman, then go ahead.
Hauser,
No.
Jones,
Yes.
Bachman,
Yes.
Boletich,
Yes.
Harden,
No.
Kenjuk,
Yes, no,
Murphy.
no, excuse me. It's awkward. I feel funny not voting for Dan, but I want to have this position.
Murphy,
No.
Stone.
No.
Okay, then we'll do the next nomination then, would be Kenzik, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, Jeff, I'm gonna clarify this. If Kendrick didn't get 5, then we keep going.
We keep going.
Correct.
That's right. Till the
Can you
white smoke.
turn your mic on, Nick? We're having a hard time
Sorry,
hearing you.
yeah, I just said if now Mr. Kendrick, if he didn't get 5, then we open up again, and if we don't get it, we come back to the next meeting.
Till there's white smoke.
Might smoke
Pick
it
a
like-
poke. Okay. All right, Mr. Peckins?
Hauser,
Yes.
Jones,
No.
Bachman,
No.
Boletich,
Yes.
Harden,
Yes.
Kenjuk,
Yes.
Murphy,
Yes.
Stone.
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Kenzik, you are the chairperson of the Planning Commission until the term ending in May, and then we'll have another election for everyone, I suppose, correct?
Chairman, Vice Chair, Secretary.
Okay, let's switch seats. You are here, the gavel is yours. You have an agenda?
Yes.
Okay. And I didn't drink out of that water, so it's yours. Okay. I'll get my coat for you. Okay.
Nick, I don't know if we should talk about it now, about when the next vote will be, because it will not be May, according to the bylaws.
So-
So I don't know if we say that now.
Yeah.
I mean, you can go ahead.
Yeah, so in May, the first meeting in May for the city council, the city clerk will show a spreadsheet of all the boards and commissions. It's got expiration dates. So normally, there's 2 ways you can do this, but normally, everybody would come to that meeting prepared, the city council, either a mayoral appointment or a city council appointment, and suggest that. Normally, you wait till the next meeting to confirm those. If council chooses to, that night, they could actually make that appointment. But so really, that's the end of May. First meeting in June. We've done it as late as July. So June, July is when we do the officers for all the boards, not just the planning commission.
Okay.
But the only thing is, and that, maybe we discuss it now, or we can discuss it later, in the bylaws, it says July. So if we're going to do it any other time but July, we have to change the bylaws.
No, that's fine. I was told it was the term ending in May. That's,
And that's what we've done.
Right.
Actually, Commissioner Bachman, requested the bylaws, and in looking at the bylaws, and you can speak to it if you want, it says July.
Okay.
And so
All right,
Jeff said, and Jeff maybe have Jeff take it from here. City Attorney?
Yes, I don't have the bylaws right in front of me, but we did have an opportunity to look at them. And there's a number of things in the bylaws that don't really match up with how things are functioning currently. So one of the things to do is maybe put on the to-do list is to, for this next year is to work on the bylaws to, even the time of the meeting is different, right? So there's, I would say that just as a matter of how things have gone the last few years. I mean, the term of May is the actual board position for that city council and mayor appoints. So but I know that also, I remember under Chairman McGee, it was tabled, to pick the chair. So yes, whatever the bylaws say, if it says July, that's not inconsistent with the timing from city council. But it is, the last set of appointments were for a year, and I believe that those were done in May. So I don't think that's a problem, whether it's June or July, based on how it's been done recently, if that's the way it's been done. But if we can follow the bylaws, that's always better.
Okay. Sound good? Okay, awesome.
I guess before I get started, I would like to take a minute, if I may, and, thank my colleagues for giving me a vote of confidence. It does mean a lot to me. I also know we have a dedicated group of people here on this Diaz. We have two people that have basically interrupted their vacation and have come back just for this meeting, and then they'll be turning around and leaving to go back, and have another gentleman that postponed his vacation for a couple of days. So there's a lot of dedication here, a lot of good people that really want to make sure that things go well within the city. So again, I'd like to thank my colleagues, and hopefully I'll make this I'll do well by them. I also like to say that, might be a little rusty in terms of running a meeting like this, so Mr. Bando or Vidya, if you see that I'm straying off course, feel free to jump in and pull me back. All right, so I guess the first thing on the agenda is public comment. That would be for anything that is not going to be covered today. So if somebody wants to talk about something that is not on the agenda, please step forward. Rose, anybody online?
No one with their hand raised.
Okay, thank you. Then we'll move on. The next item is the approval of the minutes from last meeting, January 5th. Are there any changes that any of the commissioners feel are necessary?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I'll move to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of January 5th, 2026 with the following correction. Item 5B, this is for site plan approval of 139 Romeo. There was an additional condition that was to wrap the east side of the building. There's no specifics listed in these minutes, so I'd like to add the Planning Commission's request to wrap the wood-like panel material around from the front facade to the east facade, 20 feet into the east facade.
Okay, I got it.
I also have a correction that I caught regarding the Graham. There was I made mention of the fact that on the drawings along Water Street, the trees do not follow the ordinance. They're supposed to be spaced at least 35 feet apart. They're currently on the drawings as 25 feet. So if that can be corrected as well. Any other comments or notations?
I'll accept that as an amendment to my motion.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
All right, Ms. Murphy. All right, Jeremy, the roll, please.
Kenjuk,
Yes.
Hauser,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes,
Bachman,
Yes.
Miletich.
Having not been a city member, I think it's my place to abstain on this vote. Is that correct?
We've allowed people to vote, yeah.
I abstain.
Hardin,
Yes.
Murphy,
Yes.
Stone.
Yes. Item number 5, public hearings. Before we get started, I would like to ask a clarification because on the agenda here, it says it's a request for site plan approval, but within the actual packet, it talks about site plan approval and special exception. Which one is it?
It is site plan and special exception approval, Chairman Kenjuk.
Okay, thank you. All right, with that being said, let's open it up to the commissioners if they have any questions or comments. I'm sorry, it's Vidya first.
Yes, yes.
you give
Thank
me
you,
a
Chairman
briefing, thank
Kenjuk, members of the commission. The request, I'll share the site plan on the screen. The request before you tonight is from the Rochester Community House. The Planning Commission has seen the site plan and project several times before you since 2021. The project has had numerous iterations because of the availability of finances and grant money to complete what the community house would like to do. It is located on the east side of Ludlow, and the site is part of the larger municipal park property itself. The site is zoned R2, which is single-family residential, and the community center use is permitted as a special exception in the R2 district. Now, the proposal involves demolition of a portion of the existing building and construction of this addition along with an outdoor patio. There is also going to be a deck with steps leading out down to another patio. The original plan, which the applicant had received approval for, did include a full basement renovation construction with a walkout. However, that is no longer in the scope of the project at this time. So this is a reduced scope project coming back before you for site plan approval. The site has a single access drive of Ludlow, which is not being changed. The parking on the site is all existing. There is no change proposed to the parking at all. This was approved previously when the applicant had come before the Planning Commission for certain site modification. With regard to pedestrian access, the plan indicates a new sidewalk on the west side of the building, and it is going to connect to the existing trail system within the park itself. There is also a sidewalk connector to the outdoor patio. There are barrier-free access ramps provided so that all of the sidewalks are handicap accessible. With regard to off-street parking, as in the case of the parking layout, the parking is existing and it does meet the ordinance requirement at this time. With regard to loading also, as you can see, there is an existing loading space. It is not the ideal location for a loading space. However, the site does not have room to accommodate it anywhere else. So the Planning Commission had previously approved the location of the space, and loading and unloading activity typically takes place when the community center is not hosting events. So the location shown is acceptable. The landscape plan proposed is pretty extensive for this site. I will go to the landscape plan. It's a lot of detail with shrubs and plantings on the west side of the proposed addition to enhance the curbside appeal of this project itself. The one difference over here is the east side of the building shows this boulder wall. There is a great drop off from the top to the bottom, and it is labeled as future boulder wall. There is no budget at this time to do all of the boulders, so the slope will be maintained as a grassy slope until such time boulders are in the budget for them to be installed. This is more of an architectural hardscape feature than something necessary for structural improvements. So it is acceptable for it to be shown as future at this time. There is no specific tree removal approval being sought at this time. Whatever trees needed to be removed I believe, have already been removed, and required tree replacement is also planned along with the larger park parcel planting itself. One of the questions that came up was with regard to amenities for the site. When the site plan was originally approved, the applicant had provided details of patio furniture. Typically, the Planning Commission does like to see the patio furniture because you want to make sure it's not just plastic bucket chairs that are stackable. You want to make sure that the patio furniture proposed is also in keeping with the aesthetic appeal of the building itself. The architect's response letter only states that patio furniture will be provided by the owner and is not part of the project design. So that's not something the architect has provided. So our recommendation is that the applicant use the wood and metal frame furniture that they had shown with their original site plan approval, so that it is not plastic furniture and would enhance the site as is. With regard to screening, now the site abuts, I will go back to the site plan. The site abuts a single-family residential to the south, and the zoning ordinance requires screening to be provided. The applicant at the preliminary hearing clearly stated that when they received original approval, they not only saved trees, they did significant amount of evergreen tree planting in this area in order to screen the residences to the side. We have received no concerns from the residents since the project was originally approved regarding any issues with the site. We believe the site is compliant. As to architecture, the proposed elevations have been submitted. The addition is to be constructed with lap siding and an asphalt shingle roof that is designed to blend in with the historic character of the building itself. There is a fieldstone chimney shown on the north end of the building, and this is constructed of stone. There are lots of windows proposed to allow natural light into the building. So the design of the building, the applicant did provide a colored rendering as was asked for at the preliminary hearing. So the proposed addition is sort of designed to blend in with the existing community house to keep it looking residential. It looks like a seamless addition rather than completely different building materials. Wall-packed light fixtures are shown on the west side of this building. This is the interior that is shown only for reference. The applicant has submitted lighting fixture details which are compliant with the ordinance standards. Based on our review of the plan, at this time, it is our recommendation that the Planning Commission grant site plan and special exception approval for the Rochester Community House located at 816 Ludlow, subject to two conditions. The first is inclusion of patio furniture in keeping with the architectural style, and secondly, the city's planting of the 29 replacement trees within the municipal park now or at a later date in conjunction with their master planting plan for the whole park. I would be happy to answer any questions you might have. Thank you.
At this time, any commissioners have any questions or comments?
I do, Mr. Chair, I have a couple questions. I suppose to the city manager first. Are we aware of any residents who have changed their mind on the screening that's required in the ordinance? Okay. To Vidya,
Yes.
Section 2804 requires the screening. The Planning Commission previously granted a waiver of that requirement. Does that need to be part of the motion this evening to grant the waiver again?
No, once the waiver is granted, it stands unless there have been complaints received, in which case the Planning Commission can revisit, but the original waiver that was granted would remain with the site plan.
Okay, thank you.
Any
I do have, I'm sorry, one other additional question, Mr. Chair. In condition number 2, so
Yes.
there's a master planting plan. Can we get a little bit more specific as opposed to keeping this open-ended? I'm wondering if we should set a date on this condition.
Yeah, so technically it's our property, the whole thing's one property. So when we planted the Sugar Maple Grove, that covered the 29. So it was in here from years ago, the original site plan thing that got approved. So we couldn't plant 29 more trees in the park, but we've done that in the past. So it doesn't even really need to be a condition on here, to be honest with you. So.
Okay, thank you.
I see the applicant is in the audience. If you can step forward, and if there's any comments that you have, also if you would tell us your name and your address, please.
Well, good evening, everybody. My name is Alan Smith. I'm the Executive Director of the Community House in the park, the Gem in the park. My home address is 321 Wesley Street, down in Rochester.
Yeah,
I can't imagine there's any questions.
Unless there's other questions.
If any, I
Mr.
guess.
Chair, if I just have one. With respect to this, I know there's a lot of talk about timing and all the funding and all those different sources, et cetera, that we've got, to deal with in the future. Is there any plan by the community house to put the tent back up this summer? I mean, is that in your short-term goals?
No.
Okay.
As for you, when you mentioned it before, Mr. Hauser, actually, I think planning, you did give us permission to put it back up when we're under construction.
Right.
And in fact, I just spoke to Rochester Rental today. There is no plans.
Okay.
Because we've no idea when we're going to start
Right.
doing anything. So we just carry on as normal.
I had a question from someone, and I said I would ask, so thank you.
Yeah, and just to address all the, what video and Dan was talking about, that we spent over $2,000 on the trees at the south end of the building, and they were put up to blockade the tent, not necessarily the building. And they're growing. They've been in there for, I think, 3 years now. And yeah, so when you walk down Wilcox, you're looking at trees rather than the building or the tent.
I have one question, and this is really curiosity more than anything. In regards to parking, you far exceed the required number of spaces, but in terms, the requirement is only 32.
Mm-hmm.
When you have a wedding or other large event, what is the occupancy on the building?
Weddings, believe it or not, are not the problem. The problem is we have the largest of our non-profits use the building. If you come by on a Tuesday lunchtime, 2 weekends in the month, you'll see the parking lot is absolutely full because everybody comes, one person to a car. Mm-hmm. When it's a wedding, the average is 2. And we've already tested with the Royal Parks Valley Parking Company. We did a trial run when we had parties a couple of years ago at Valley Parking, and they can get about 120, 125 cars in the same space of 99 slots when it's a wedding. So 200 people, if we get the addition, 200 person wedding, 100 parking slots. And if we need to we just do Valley Parking.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Any other questions or comments from the commissioners?
2 questions for Mr. Smith. Mr. Smith, are you aware of any residents who desire screening?
I know of one resident that has commented regarding screening. Just depends what you're talking about, on which screening.
You talk about the Amy's.
No.
She's good now.
Yeah, that was,
The one that never asked.
yeah, Jeremy was telling me about that. On the screening, the city had, to my knowledge, had fixed the problem with the south end of the building, and now that the dumpster surround went up last year, or earlier this year, can't remember, that's another blockade for it. And then the fir trees that we put in, that blocks, if Amy walks out onto the street, she's not looking at the building, she's looking at trees.
Okay.
So
it still sounds like we don't need to grant a waiver. The other question is on the north end of the building. You have this sort of bifurcated patio with, the concrete to the west, on the west half, and then some type of wood
decking
on the right half. Help me understand sort of the rationale there. It's not very aesthetically appealing. Is it something to do with the grade?
Well, if you look, if we had I can get Jeremy to plug in and we could pull up a picture of the rear of the building, which shows, if you look over on the far left, on the left of the building, go the other way, video. The other way, yeah, that's it. So looking at that's the south end of the building. That's not quite correct. That dark wood underneath, it does look really good. It uses 9-inch, it's like a 9-inch Trex. I don't think it is actually Trex. 9-inch by 5/8 thick board with a 1-inch gap. And aesthetically, it looks a heck of a lot better than it does right now. We would be using the same, if you look at the north end of the building, you'll see the same dark wood underneath as well.
Right, I'm trying to understand why we have half the patio
Cost.
concrete cost. Okay.
Cost. I mean, we'd have loved to have had it concrete the whole way through, but with doing what we're doing now, you know, every month that goes by, the costs keep going up. And, you know, I've been in this job 8 years in May, and the prices have more than doubled in that time. So we've cut out as much as we possibly can, and that was when everybody agreed to do the wood, or wanted to do the wood, rather than going. We were here before when we had problems with the ground to do the footings and the big walls to carry the weight. So doing the deck at that point got rid of that problem, because that was driving the cost up dramatically when we had half a basement. So.
All right, thank you, Mr. Smith.
Any other further questions or comments? Okay, it's 7:31. We'll open it up for public comment. Anyone here in the audience would like to say something, come forward, state your name and address, please.
Hi, my name's Stephen Masana. I live at 806 Ludlow, right across the parking lot from the community house. And first thing I want to do is just thank everybody. Thank you, Alan. Thank you, Commission, the council. It's beautiful, and I'm really, really glad to see all this work being put in, the care that's been put into it. My understanding is that the building does not extend further north. I think that's correct. It just extends further into the park. The thing that extends further north then is going to be the patio. And I'll just share something quickly. I'm going to try to be brief. But the reason that I bought that house is I love being part of the community. I love seeing people come in. I love seeing people come into the park. Everybody's happy. They're together. They're enjoying life. They're enjoying our community. And it's wonderful. And when I think of the arborvitaes blocking that patio, it kind of takes that feel away, that connectedness to the community. And I think for people coming in to the park and to the community house also, I just don't feel like it's in the spirit of sharing joy in the community, which I think this is about, and I think it does so well, to have a wall of trees blocking people off and walling them off. And I think it'd be a really good marketing for the community house and what the city has to offer for people to see all of that joy and people just enjoying the community house there. I think it'll bring people together more by not having those trees. And as probably the only residential homeowner that's affected by that, I can say that, because I looked directly at it, I looked right outside my house, I prefer not to have them.
Thank you. Anyone else in chambers like to make a comment? State your name and your address, please.
My name is Leo Gemelli. I live right next door at 750 Wilcox. And we are looking forward to the improvements, so we are yays here. The concern I have is this past summer, I got a knock on the door from a survey crew. And they were going to be working up and down my side driveway. And I was asking why and inquiring. I've been in construction 30-some years. And they were going to shoot elevations for catch basins and stormwater drain and tying in gutters. And when we built our house in 2013-ish, we had got permission and permits to put in a catch basin that was up near the street by the fire hydrant, down about 50 or 75 feet. We paid for it, and we tied in the structure, and we put all our gutters, 6-inch and 8-inch PVC pipes, have been tied in all the way around into that structure, which then flows out to the river. And we haven't had any problems, but it is spaghetti, and it was old, what we tied into, and we did have difficulty tying into it. And so the survey crew, after prying a little bit, they wouldn't give up a lot of information, but they were talking about tying in, and I'm not exactly sure if it's a gutter line or 5 or 10 but they're talking about ripping up concrete and tying into the side of this catch basin that I paid for. And I definitely have a problem with that. I want it to be known. And if anything like that, it doesn't show anything like that on this drawing at all. So if that is something that's going to be happening or being talked about, I want to know, I want to be part of it. I don't think it's a good idea. I think a structure needs to be, some type of French drain. It's very simple to do this. A French drain or a small structure out behind the new addition. Everything can be tied in. You remove a 8-inch or 8-foot wide piece of asphalt path that was just put in. The back of the grade, and on top of that, there's a big water problem. As you guys know, when you walk through the park next to my house, you could almost put a fishing line in there and do some fishing. There is no drainage there. It's not right. Again, the people that we talk to in the park and so forth, all great, great people. They're like, oh, we can't, I'm like, everything's too low. You're putting in asphalt on top of asphalt and you're trapping the water. So knowing that there's a water problem already, and knowing that this is the time for new construction and things to be torn up, it would be a great time to put in a structure, run it out, don't tie a commercial building into a residential property, and that's my only concern. As far as the screening and all that goes, you guys were very fair with us. We walked it, we talked it, we put in things that made everybody happy and left a natural barrier there. That's what we all want. And that's the only thing I'm concerned about is the drainage over there.
Okay, sir, if I may just clarify, you're concerned that with the changes that are going to happen to the community house, it's going to affect the drainage system that you put in?
Your survey crew knocked on my door and was surveying up and down my driveway.
Okay.
So if they did that, then you might be concerned that that's going to happen. And if you are, I'm concerned. There's nothing on them drawings that say anything about tearing out my concrete and tapping into the structure.
Mr. Manager?
I think you're well aware, Al might even be a better answer, but we got you, that's why we were surveying it, to confirm what we thought, and you're staying away from that next more like that.
You're the east end of Wilcox on the corner.
Correct.
Yes.
It's
It's not happening. I think you can be like,
I got the nice shed.
I think if Aseel was on this, she'd be telling you, since she was struggling at the time to be able to get the drains with the basement, because the basement was going to take a double sump. So they were going to run it down the back and they were going to try and tap it into this gentleman's. Yeah. Well, since then, the gutters are just going to run free because now we don't have a basement. So it's basically the same as it is now. There's, maybe one new gutter on the new addition above where the deck is right now.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, if I may, and we're going to look at that drainage problem that does exist. Trench drains, there might be a way to get that water so it doesn't pond there, because it's ridiculous. It's always like that. So this will not exasperate it, and we're already looking at we surveyed all that, whether we did community house or not, we need to deal with that problem because it's not good. There's mosquitoes back there and things, so Leo, we got you.
Thank you. All right.
Mr. Chair, is there any other larger storm water management plan?
Yeah.
Or just send it all to the creek?
Yeah, you're trying to detain as much as you can. Use the grass to drain it, so that's a good filter. But we can't do a direct discharge to the river. That's a new one, we can't. So we have to deal with that somehow.
Or rain gardens?
Exactly.
Yeah, all right.
All right, any further questions or comments for folks here in chambers? Okay. Rose, anyone online?
No one is online.
Okay. With that, it is 7:38. We'll close public comment. At this point, turn it back to the commissioners for any further questions or comments that they may have. All right, if that's no comment, then entertain a motion.
I would make a motion to accept the site plan for approval.
Second.
With all the conditions that have been.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, very good. Jeremy, the roll, please.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry, would you please make sure the motion says site plan and special exception approval. You have to include the term special exception.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. All right, if we can restate the motion to include both the site plan and the special exception with the conditions that Ms. Murphy stated.
Please.
All right, and then
I
Mr.
accept.
Berdelich still seconds. All right,
Kenjuk,
yes.
Hauser,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Bachman,
Yes.
Berlitich,
Yes.
Harden,
Yes.
Murphy,
Yes.
Stone.
Yes.
Good luck.
Could I just thank Cody, our architect, who's been listening at all this time. Thanks for coming on tonight, Cody. And
Thank you.
enjoy the cold. Okay, thank you, everybody.
All right. All right, we'll move on to item 6 on the agenda, considerations. The first one is for 235 South Main, which is a site plan review and facade change. We have the applicant here.
Good evening. Yes, we're here.
All right, gentlemen, if you could again state your name and address for the records.
Thank you. My name is Jason Krieger with Krieger-Klett Architects, 400 East Lincoln, Royal Oak. Have the owner, Joe Lucido here, right behind me. And his father, Vince, is in the audience as well. So I guess the consideration thing here is a little bit new to me. So are we the ones to present?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Excuse me, Mr.
You may want to have a seat. We should go with Victor first. My apologies.
Okay, great.
Like I said, I'm new.
You get one meeting.
You're
And
fine.
after that, it's,
Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. The request before you tonight is from Krieger-Klett Architects on behalf of the owner to construct a second story and operate a retail store in an existing building that is in downtown. Everybody is familiar with this building. It is located on the southwest corner of Main and West 3rd Street. It was formerly the Hermitage Art Gallery, and there are a couple of other retail stores that are facing East 3rd Street. The proposed use is for retail sales, that is jewelry and watches, which is a principal permitted use in the central business district where this building is located. Now, I will briefly summarize what the applicant is proposing to do and also a few other things that we would like clarification on before they come back to you for action on the site plan. Now, the first floor of this building has an area of 15,710 square feet. They're going to build a new second story addition with an area of 6,548 square feet. So overall, the building will have a total square footage of 22,258 square feet. Now, the site has got frontage on 3 sites, Main Street, West 3rd, and it's got the Main Street Alley. Main Street Alley direction of vehicle movement is southbound. So we would like the site plan to actually show the southbound arrow for the direction in which vehicles move. The building pretty much occupies most of the site. One of the improvements the applicant is making is to fill in the jogs in the wall along the front. If you recollect what the building looks like currently, the wall has got recesses over here. And the proposal calls for filling in all these recesses. When this is being done, the applicant is also proposing to add planters along the front of these areas. We want the applicant to identify the sidewalk area or width located. I'll zoom in a little bit more so you can see it properly. The sidewalk area that exists between where the applicant is proposing to put in these planters and between the planters that the DDA already has along the site's frontage. We want to make sure that there is enough clearance for pedestrians, strollers, and other, the main activity, the walkway activity can still take place and the planters don't infringe upon the ability to walk. So that spacing over here, wherever the DDA amenities are located, these distances need to be identified. Now, the first floor of this building is intended for retail sales of watches and jewelry, and the second floor appears to be intended for office use, office operations, and the storage of the inventory itself. Based upon the previous use of this entire building, The site was grandfathered in for a total of 31 parking spaces. Retail use requires a lot more parking than what previously was required. So the parking requirement for the site after the addition of the second story is going to be 97 parking spaces. Now the site plan shows 4 spaces on the rear of the building itself. This will result in a parking shortage of 62 spaces, not 66. When the applicant calculated their shortfall, they forgot to include these 4 spaces that they're providing. So their shortfall is 62 spaces, and they are requiring permission from the Planning Commission approval for payment in lieu of 62 parking spaces. Typically, whenever payment in lieu of is required, the Planning Commission has asked City Administration, which is Jeremy, to provide a parking study and note the availability of parking for providing the required parking for this retail use. It is a lot of parking spaces for a straight retail use. We cannot imagine a scenario in which 97 people are in the store at one time buying high-end jewelry and watches. That said, the applicant has got a case to make. However, payment in lieu of requires demonstration of the availability of such spaces. The building has also got a rear entrance door shown over here. The applicant needs to clarify whether this door is barrier-free accessible, since they have some parking spaces provided over here. We do know that the northeast main entrance of Main Street is barrier-free accessible as shown. Because there is an entrance provided over here and the applicant does have some parking spaces, the first space over here should be designated as a handicap accessible space, so that somebody in a wheelchair is not required to park in a public parking deck and come all the way up to the store. The store has got its own handicap accessible space. We do recommend that the applicant install bollards on this west side wall, so if any vehicle pulls in far enough, they don't hit the building. To protect the building, they should install bollards so that they're safeguarding the structure itself. The site plan, what you see on your screen is the architectural site plan. The applicant needs to zoom out a little bit to show the distance from the nearest parking deck or public parking lot to the building, so that the Planning Commission, while taking action on payment in lieu of, has an idea of where this parking is located. We need clarification on where loading, unloading activity will take place. Where will trucks that bring the merchandise in load and unload? And if so, what are the hours when such delivery shall take place? We want to make sure that the alley is not blocked during rush hour. Also clarify proposed method of trash removal from the building. It's a significant size building, so how is trash going to be removed? That needs to be noted. The applicant has submitted a detailed photometric plan which shows numerous wall-mounted fixtures. Many of these fixtures are, all of these are downward directed except for one fixture style, which is further down in the plan sheets, which I will show. It's called the VEX 12, and this is basically an up and down fixture. It's intended to highlight the building, but if it's not pointed properly, the light can shine straight out into the night sky, causing light pollution. We want to make sure that that is avoided. Clarification is needed whether there is going to be any rooftop mechanical equipment. If so, it needs to be screened. Based on the roof pitch, it does not appear that there is rooftop, but a note needs to be added to clarify it. Now, if you recollect, the existing building is constructed of red brick, fieldstone, white siding, and on portions along West 3rd Street, it has got a black tile accent on the north facade. Now, the applicant's proposal is to lime wash some of the red brick to this color, as shown on your screen, into a limestone color. Replace other brick and tile areas with smooth cast stone veneer, and also create a focal entrance at the northeast corner of the building, which is the main entrance. I will switch to the renderings so the Planning Commission has an idea of how the building is intended to look once the applicant's improvements are in place. So this is the proposed architectural facade. This is the northeast corner. So the red brick is going to be lime washed. There is going to be stone veneer installed on several of the facade areas to provide for a contrast material. There is also going to be black asphalt shingled roof, and they are creating main entrance features along each areas. These are the areas previously where there is a jog in the wall that the applicant is proposing to fill in to create these windows. The building proposed architectural change is very attractive. It gives the building a modern appearance while still maintaining some of the earthy neutral tones that is traditional of our Rochester downtown. All buildings don't necessarily need to be the red brick. This building still maintains brick, stone, and creates its own unique identity. We did want to clarify that one of the sheets notes that the stone veneer color is to be determined. Building material colors cannot be determined after Planning Commission action. Whatever colors are shown and represented on the site plan set submitted to the Planning Commission is what needs to be used. So the applicant needs to delete the note that says to be determined. Now, the applicant is adding a second story on a building that previously is only single story. So this is going to make a difference in the appearance of the corner. Now, the building immediately to its south is a two-story structure, so the contrast is not going to be as dramatic as if this was a single story and this is suddenly going up to two-story. That said, whenever a corner or a prominent corner in the downtown has had a major facade change, even recently the DNC rooftop, which was more towards the rear alley side than Main Street, the Planning Commission has required line of sight diagrams that go north-south and that go east-west. The cross-section diagram needs to go across the street and a block on either side in order to show how the proposed addition will integrate itself into the existing downtown's fabric. Now, the plan, as you see, shows planters along over here. I do want to point out that the planters shown on the renderings are not the same planters that are shown on the site plan sheet. So these are the planters over here look like black painted concrete. And if I go back to the site plan sheet, the planter detail shown over here is a box planter. I do believe the one shown on the rendering is the more attractive one. So if the applicant could just change this image to match what is on the rendering, that would be the correct thing to do. The elevations also show representation on various facades of the building. I'll go back to the facade renderings. I'm sorry, I'm going to the facade renderings over here. There are Lucido is written on several of the facades over here, including inside the clock face. If you look at the renderings, I'll go back to the renderings which were on page 59. Sorry, the renderings were on a different sheet. If you look at the renderings, there is Lucido fine jewelry written, and the clock face that is on here also has Lucido. Sign is typically administratively approved, but I wanted the applicant to be aware that if you put the word Lucido on the clock face, the entire clock face is considered a sign because that is branding. So if the building is going to be reviewed for compliance with the sign ordinance, they need to make sure that anywhere where the terminology or the branding is used is considered as a sign. We believe the applicant is making a change in creating a dramatic focal point on one of the main corners of the building. This is a very high-end retail store. So as such, it is likely to bring in more crowd into the downtown area also. Our recommendation is that the Planning Commission at this time place this project for site plan approval at the next available agenda, subject to the applicant submitting a revised site plan set addressing all of the comments noted in our January 25th review letter. I would be happy to answer any questions you might have. Thank you.
Thank you, Vidya. At this point, we'll ask the commissioners for any comments or questions.
Mr. Chair, I have a question for the city manager related to eligible public lots. So we have Lot 12 just to the west, right behind the alley. I assume that's eligible. Lots 5 and 9 are to the north and south. Also, on the other side of the alley, I assume those are within the required distance. Maybe, correct me if I'm wrong.
No, you're right.
And then we have Lot 4, another block to the west, and then we have the west parking platform. Is Lot 4 and the west parking platform eligible for parking in lieu?
So technically, it's not I think what you're referring to is if you wanted to get credit for those spaces, you have to be within 250 feet of that. None of those would make that, basically. So payment in lieu is, the theory is, and Glenn from the Roxy used this argument very well. He built a giant facility, or he converted a giant facility and said, I don't know where you're gonna park, but I don't have a restaurant. So you might park on the east side and walk to my venue. You can park anywhere in the city, it doesn't matter to. So you had to pay, I think, for 32 spaces at the time. I would be more interested in hearing the petitioner not argue, make the case for, we don't, I've talked to Joe before, we had a conversation a few months ago about this, about what do they expect their business model to be? I know a portion of the first floor is where they make, or they repair jewelry. The upstairs is for themselves, basically their offices. There's no way that they think they would, why would you ask for 62 spaces if you had to count on all your customers finding some place in town to park? The brunch house lot, that's how I refer to it, I think that's for. That, I would not say that's a good example. During the day, that's pretty much full. The little lots, Give Thanks fills up one of them. There's not a lot of parking on that side. The deck would be probably the best bet, so you have to walk a couple blocks, and we've used this argument before. If you go to Bass Pro Shop at the mall, you might walk a half a mile just to get to, the mall. So the concept of how far do you walk for the spaces, but the ordinance doesn't say within so many feet to count to be eligible. So our study would look at that whole side probably and say, what's our average use during the day based on their business plan? When do they expect people to come in? Are they open at night? Could be tough with restaurants. I think they need to talk about why would they make this investment in this building knowing you're short that many parking spots. I think they've probably got a good answer, but I would suggest that we let them answer that.
And just to clarify, Mr. Chair, I think if I understood the city manager, we will have a parking study to review next meeting. Okay.
Ms. Murphy?
Just a quick question, probably. Relative to other retail spaces in town, I wouldn't count restaurants, but like, it seems really, really big. I don't think I've been in there, but I don't think, like, how does this compare, just for my own curiosity?
Oh, this would be
Is
the large, 15,000
largest?
feet. There's no 15,000 feet buildings. They're broken up. Yeah. When Greens was here, they were pretty big. That was probably the next biggest. This is very, very large. And again, I was privileged to see about an hour and a half presentation on the inside. The concept of European cities, basically, it's different nodes inside that aren't necessarily, there's a bunch of different brands of not just Rolex watches, and there's experiences there, and this is a world-class facility they're looking at. So again, I think as they walk us through that, we might either get more comfortable. Again, I can't believe they knew what they were getting into to buy a building that big, knowing they're gonna be that far off by pure gross square feet. But the city ordinance also allows, they need to look at the floor plan. If it's assembly of watches, that's not necessarily retail. Office would not be at 1 to 200, that's 1 to 300. So you start playing with those numbers. Like in the hotel, we break it up into the ballroom has certain qualifications, the offices have certain qualifications, different parking counts. I'm not exactly sure how Vidya, if she just took gross square feet by 200 and 300, but again, you could just consider that as you go through it, so.
Thank you, Nick. This is a challenge. I mean, the parking requirement for this building is 97 spaces. It's not logical to think that you would need 97 spaces for a retail use of this kind. For comparison, the same parking standard is applied to a grocery store or a convenience store, which makes sense, 1 per 200 or 1 per 300, because those are crowded where everybody goes on a daily basis to shop and get necessities. This is not a retail store that is per se a necessity. I mean, you're talking about Rolex and Omega, Breitling, and a diamond room. That's why I put up the floor plan on there for you. If you can see the way this retail store is structured, its parking falls into the same category as what we would apply to a retail store or a greeting card store, a sports memorabilia store, but this is not the same type of retail. So I think it is very important for the applicant to come there and explain what kind of traffic they typically expect or anticipate in a business that is at this level, which would make whatever parking payment in lieu of they're asking more realistic. So I think the applicant really needs to be able to speak to it, which I do think they would have a reasonable argument for, because I wouldn't place a Rolex or a high-end jewelry store in the same league as a grocery store.
I would agree.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
I think I agree with everything that's been said so far about the parking requirement. When I saw this, I can't imagine 97 people in the store all at once. My concern for the parking isn't necessarily for Lucido. It's what happens in 3 or 4 years from now if it, God forbid, does become somebody else and we've granted a payment in lieu for 97 spaces and there's a new use that comes in that is far more intensive for parking, and we don't have a parking issue now, but who knows, maybe in the future we do. So kind of stacks on top of itself. Is there something else, not payment in lieu, like a conditional approval, something else we can do just for this use? Because I would be more in favor of that, not knowing what a future use might be and locking in those parking spaces for somebody who really will have 97 people in the space.
Agree, Mr. Chairman, through the chair to Ms. Harden. So 100% agree. So when you make your thought process, your deliberations on the parking in lieu of, we would ask for that to be articulated based on this factual base. This is how our business plan is going to work. This is the floor plan, and this so much is for watch repair, and this is for that. Make that a condition on that. So anybody that came in would have to live by that exact same condition. We've talked about this with them in the beginning. So it's not blanket because it's based on a series of exactions of the building that's there now. So I think we do that basically if it was a restaurant and then they wouldn't, a restaurant is the highest intense use with alcohol, right? 1 to 100. If somebody came in for general retail and got parking in lieu of, if they went to a restaurant, all they would get is that break on the count of 1 to 200, not the restaurant, which would be double. So absolutely, you could tie your decision and willingness to accept payment in lieu based on a floor plan and a business plan. So I think you could tie it up, and that's how you make your decision.
I guess, can we charge payment in lieu twice to a property? If we charge it now.
Fair. They would get credit for whatever you agreed to. Let's say we cut it down to 30. They would get credit for that. That would run with the land. But those 30 are still based on that information. So anybody that wanted to do something more than 30 would have to come back and plead their case.
I don't know what the right solution is, but I would just ask you, administration, Vidya, to work with the applicant. I think that would be the wise thing to do moving forward, just to approve them for this use, not knowing what the future might hold for
Totally
the next
agree.
use.
100% agree.
Mr. Stone?
I'm fine. Nick, I was going to say, on the parking garages and parking around town, when did we do the last study? Was it October or September? I mean, do we have that easily accessible to share at the next meeting? I mean, basically, I sat on parking advisory committee with city manager and other folks here, and the decks are never full. There's actually spaces around town. It's just not on Main Street where everyone wants to park.
Yeah, and we've had that discussion at PAC, and it needs to take place here and even at city council, because ultimately, if they didn't want to, let's say it was 30,000, they wanted to make the payment plan, city council has to agree to that payment plan, anything over 10 spaces, right? So same argument that, and I think I've used this before, in my former, we had Northland. When they designed Northland, they designed it with 2,102 parking spaces. What was that based on? Christmas. Oh, at Christmas, you need them all. The rest of the year, you needed 500 spaces. So the planners over a period of years, and correct me if I'm wrong, we evaluated this a few years ago. We try to move that 1 to 300, 1 to 200 based on reality. Lots changed, especially office space. People don't all go into the office anymore. So you don't want to over park, over pave, over put water into the storm system when you don't need to. So it's seasonal. No one in this room can walk here would argue that at 5 o'clock on every night for 31 days during Big Right, it's going to be an issue. It's going to be an issue. But you could still find spaces, but you're right, it might be 2-3 blocks away. Again, I always use the mall example. At Christmas, you park as far away at the theaters at Great Lakes. You might have to park at the other end to get there. It's just our habits. Everybody wants to be within eyesight. Vidya talked about that before. You want to see where you're going. That makes you feel like you're not walking very far. In reality, it's 2 blocks. At the mall, you walk 10 blocks just to get to your space sometimes. So, but we will evaluate all that in real time. Absolutely.
Thank you. Any further questions here? I have one then, if I may. I just want to confirm something. We don't have a separate standard for different retail type of establishments for parking. But do I also hear you say that as the planning commission, we can approve a different number of spaces for parking in lieu of?
Yeah, if the standard is take the square feet, divide by 200, that's it. That's like Vidya said, grocery store, doesn't matter what. In this case, because it's a multi-use building, same owner, but different uses on the inside, just like a hotel, she can calculate the space and say, I know there's 2 watchmakers in that space. I'm not going to hit them for 1 to 200 because it's not retail. She could go through that analyzation. They're going to have to give her a lot of information. Vidya's raising her hand. Go ahead, Vidya.
Yes. So the zoning ordinance, if you look at a section, that's what I was looking at. We are in section 2402 subsection 9. In very limited circumstances, the Planning Commission does have the flexibility to apply a different parking standard to a particular use if they believe that actually a different standard would be more reasonable. It's in very limited circumstances only at the Planning Commission's discretion. So in this case, what the applicant could possibly do is go to the Institute of Traffic Engineers. Their parking manual has got N number of retail uses. It probably has a separate category for high-end retail or uses such as what the applicant is proposing, which probably will not be 1 per 200. Our zoning ordinance has got 1 category retail. The IT manual has got multiple retail categories. If there is another parking standard that is more reasonable to apply to this, the applicant can come with that information, submit that information, and the Planning Commission can say, okay, your actual parking requirement based on the more applicable standard is this. That will also answer the commissioner's question, where what happens if this retail use goes away and the next retail use comes in that actually requires more parking, which automatically means that new use will now have to go back to what our ordinance says, unless they can demonstrate that they have another standard that's applicable. So in this case, that clause in the ordinance 2402 subsection 9, the applicant would need to provide that information so that the Planning Commission can make that determination.
Okay, thank
And
you.
Mr. Chairman, I would say that we've done this before. When Vidya found some like the recreation centers, the indoor soccer, in our ordinance, we didn't have that. We didn't have it even for tanning salons. So she had to go to IT, to the group, and then we used best practices, if you will. So it's probably 99% of the time, you'll never get there. But in certain circumstances, that's why that clause is in there.
Okay. And then I have
And the ordinance clearly, and the ordinance clearly states any Planning Commission modification under this subsection shall be conditioned on the use of the property continuing as approved. Any substantive deviation in type, scope, or intensity of the property use will result in the standard parking requirements being applied. So that safeguards the city so that it's not a blanket approval that no matter what retail use comes in, you're now stuck with them not having enough parking. So it protects the city too.
And we would not double charge them, was a fair question. So they would still get credit for 30, but if they need 60, they have to buy 30 more if they can convince the plaintiff.
Okay, thank you. I also have another question. I think this one would be for Vidya. In the drawings, it talks about a terrace, but there's really no mention of it in the review. If that terrace were to be used for some sort of public event, for special customers or what have you, are there any special rules or regulations that would govern it?
The applicant mentions a terrace, Mr. Chairman, but I do not see it on the elevations, which is why I wanted the applicant to explain exactly where this terrace is located. If you look at the elevations, I will share the site plan renderings one more time. I have the ordinance here. I'm going to go back to the renderings. I'm not sure where this terrace is. I don't see it on any of the 4 facades that are shown over here. So the applicant will have to explain if that's something they intend doing and have not yet shown, or was that an idea that they still had on paper, but it's not really going to be put in here. That's why I didn't mention it in my letter, because I don't see where the terrace is on this building.
Well, it's, from what I saw, at least I don't remember the drawing number, but it is accessible from inside the building and also from the rear of the building where they're putting in the new screen and staircase.
So I'll defer to the applicant, Chairman Kenchuk, to explain exactly if the terrace is going to be in the back, it's going to be facing an alley. So I'm not sure what they are planning to accomplish by looking at the alley. If it's Christmas lights, I would expect the terrace would be in the front. So I'll answer that question after the applicant has made their presentation. I'm going to look through the other sheets one more time.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, it's page 75 has the drawing that shows the terrace. Open air.
So they show a roof structure on top of the terrace. So it looks from the floor plan like it is part. I would like the applicant to please explain what exactly they mean by the use of this open air terrace. Is it just coming out for access to the steps, or is it a gathering space? I'm not sure, because it doesn't look much of a gathering space if it's facing the alley. So
Okay.
I'll wait for the applicant to answer that.
Any other questions? Okay. If the applicant could now step forward, please, and
No problem. Hi, Joe Lucido. My address is 2933 Ambleside Court, Rochester. I just want to take an opportunity to thank you guys for consideration. I'm one of the owners of the business, and I'm also the president of the organization. And we've had a thriving business in downtown Rochester for about 2 decades now. And we've grown out of our ability to enhance our client experience with the footprint that we currently have. So with this and the partnership with some of the brands we want to bring to the city, we have a huge opportunity to bring something very special here. We have some great architects. We have designers out of Switzerland. We have our local architect who's here with us today. We're really looking forward to bringing something special to our loyal clients that we already have, as well as new business to the area. I'm going to leave it to Jason.
Well, usually I have much more to say, but Lydia pretty much covered most of it. But we do have a presentation here that I think we can go through, and I might just, before we even do that, just touch on a couple things. All of the, I think all of the comments / concerns that was brought up just a few minutes ago, we're complying with. So we are actively putting together a response to the letter that we received from McKenna. They'll be back in before Thursday, so that we're on the next agenda. We're going to have all the materials we're going to address the loading, the RTU screening, everything's going to be answered. So the letter was very thorough. We appreciate it. And I think maybe we can just walk through this. There's, 15 slides, and then we're here for questions. So if we go to the next, oh wait, I can control it, can I?
Just with the scroll wheel.
There we go. Well, I think we all know the location of this site here. About 15,000 square feet. One thing I want to point out, which we don't have a good illustration of it here, but we are going to have it on the site plan approval set, the actual formal one. We're going to do 2 things. Number one, we will have streetscape elevations showing how this building fits in with the fabric of the neighborhood. The one thing to point out, this is actually a good image. See this hole in the roof right here? That's literally where we're putting the second floor. So you will not see it from Main Street or 3rd Street. It's intentionally tucked beneath the ridge lines of the building. But what we are doing that will affect the streetscape is we are, and you'll see in the renderings, we're eliminating a few of the dormers, and we're making the corner more robust. And that's to make it more retail, sexy, fun. You want to go in there. Back here is where the patio is that we were just talking about. It's meant for employees. It's more of a private thing. Maybe it's not something where you go out and check out the lights at Christmas time, as was mentioned, which it's just this private. So it's the idea is the only place that you're really going to see the second floor addition is if you're in an airplane that's flying really low, or if you're in the alley or over here. So that's really it. These are just existing photos. Everybody here knows the current building. As mentioned, what we are doing is, these are the areas that we're going to be filling in, proposing to filling in. There's some on Main, there's some on Third, but the idea is to capture more space. You know, the retail environment likes boxes. So with the ins and outs before, it made more sense to capture that. There's already roof and foundations there that we can tie into. It's the current corner. We're now going to create a 2-story corner with a dramatic glass entrance and a clock and everything else, so it's iconic. We have, this is the current north side. This is a little discombobulated just over the years, additions, things like that. We're proposing to clean everything up. Just looking at this here, there was mention about, which I appreciate, mention about adding the planters, which we're proposing to make sure that there's clearances from light poles and signs and things. Totally get it. We are going to provide a dimension plan on the site plan approval set showing that there will be proper clearances. There's the back. Over here to the right is where the addition will end up being that you'll see. This is where the parking on the west is. And as mentioned, and what we are updating is that we are going to provide an ADA spot back here because that is an ADA entrance after all. So this is a diagram, which I think we've already kind of spoke about this quite a bit. But bottom line, improving the entrance on the northeast. Filling in these yellow areas show where we're proposing to fill in the building. Parking. This is a stair that goes up to the little patio on the second floor. This dashed line that you see here represents the second floor, which indeed is all offices, you know, workshops, you name it. Joe's here to answer any questions about that, but it's not retail. We've all seen these. The one thing I want to point out, which we are going to include in the site plan, in the formal site plan approval, are some of the interior, there's like 50 interior renderings. The designers did an amazing job. But we definitely want to show everybody how beautiful this space is. It's world class. It truly is world class. It's because of the owners, and they want to make it world class, but they're working with world class brands like Rolex, Breitling, you name it, and they have to, you know, do it to that degree. So this is going to be absolutely gorgeous when it's done, if it gets approved. Second floor offices, you know, again, so we have our stairwells, elevator, we have stairs, and then just different, you know, things that they need to run the business. So we have right here, I can gloss over some of this stuff, but basically this is the mood board that we got from, you know, that the designers put together. We're kind of designing the whole thing, and it's very high-end chic. You know, obviously they've Louis Vuitton up there, but you know the clock, which is representative of the brand and what they're doing here. But it's very subtle, very tasteful, very, very high-end. You know, the brick we're going to keep, as mentioned, we're going to whitewash it, make it look really, really pretty. We're going to do an actual cast stone. We talked about limestone, true limestone. Cast stone's more durable, but it looks the same. You'll walk by, you won't notice the difference, and it holds up better at grade for water and things like that, and salt. So, and it's going to be a true, you know, thick cast stone. This building's going to be gorgeous when it's all said and done. So here's some renderings, proposed renderings. There's a new corner. This is really the only element that, you know, is going to change the, you know, shape and size of the building from this corner. We did eliminate some of these dormers, and it was really just to simplify it. Arches were modified, added. Some areas were built in, as mentioned. This is on the north. And this is just calling out materials. We will absolutely have everything specified for the formal site plan submission, and we'll have a material board so everyone can see that. And then this would be the northwest looking to the southeast. That is showing the addition off the alleyway. Intentionally, it's just a simple metal siding. We want it to be very simple. We don't want to call attention to it. And then this right here is a little screen wall that's really cool, like really thin spindles kind of screening this. So this is on the west side where the alley is. we understand the comment about the signage, you know, but that's going to be handled by a different group, you know, by the sign vendor. So what we're showing is, you know, the intent, but be very tasteful, nothing gaudy. That's it. Really quick. Yeah, regarding the parking, you know, it sounds like, you know, parking studies are needed. I think it sounds like the city's going to look at something, you know, we're going to look at something. One thing to point out is that they're already in the downtown. They're moving. They're growing, I get that, but they're already in the downtown. And I think the big thing to talk about is how do they operate? How many folks do they typically get? They've been in business a very, very long time. I guarantee you, and I'm not trying to be funny, but like clockwork, they can probably tell you how many people they get per day, different times of the year, et cetera, et cetera. So, you know, I think that's a very controlled environment with what they get. And, you know, that's something that we want to have a deeper conversation with everybody on. So, other than that, I think, you know, all the comments were great and we're addressing them. So our goal when we come back is to have everything nice and buttoned up and, you know, hopefully we get an approval. Anything else you want to add?
Gentlemen, if you can stay there. Commissioners, floor is yours if you have any follow-up questions.
I have one.
Ms. Murphy?
Because I'm not familiar, but the lime wash on the brick.
Sure.
What's the, is there maintenance for that? Does it just stay white? Does it turn back to red brick?
No, that's a good question. After time, maybe 10, 15 years, perhaps, some of it might, but yeah, I don't know how permanent. I've done it many times on homes back in the day. I never saw it come off, but maybe if the brick starts to spall after time, which could happen. So I think that goes back just into common building maintenance and taking care of everything. Yeah.
And Modet's has that, they paint it every 3 to 4 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Could I ask this, so just, I want to set expectations properly. By Thursday to get this stuff in, we have some, this is not an easy ask. Before we say we're going to support whatever video comes up with 30 or 40 spaces, we want to make sure we can defend. We've put people through the ringer for 2 and 3 spaces lately. Nothing's changed. So I believe, after talking to Joe, if you don't mind me calling you that, Joe, that the plan will warrant how they run their business. We need to flush that out, get with the police chief, get with Dave Carter and Dave Custer, and really vet this out. And then we have to go out and I don't think our study that we've done is relevant right now. So we'll go back out for a couple of weeks, just check it. Because I don't want you guys running into, to say 30 days, something goes awry and you're going to lose a bunch of time. We need to do our complete staff work. It's not going to get done in 10 days, I can tell you right now. We can't, our side.
Okay.
You need to keep working with video to get the site plan done. This is all about, site plan's easy. It's the parking aspect.
Okay.
So just so you know.
So are you recommending should we keep going on our current path? Or
Absolutely.
Okay.
And then we'll work together, figure out the wording, help us understand what the business man is. But you keep going on your path.
Yeah, okay.
Absolutely. Because they're together. They couldn't approve the site plan without the special exception for the parking waiver. So even if one's ahead, you might get all the site plan stuff done, but if we don't have an answer on the parking, it doesn't matter, so.
Yeah, just to speak to that real quick. So the first floor of the business is just over 15,000 square feet. But if you see in the plan, we're making this a very specific environment. It's not packed with jewelry every step of the way. It's more about an experience. So out of the 15,000 square feet, I believe just under 10,000 square feet is actually for customer facing. And additionally, we do have, just like Jason mentioned, we have supporting documentation for the last couple years in business of the foot traffic that walked through our door. Obviously, this space is a little larger than what we currently have, and we might even get some heightened traffic, but I assure you, if it's 90-something people a day, that'd be great.
Pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I think we can get there. I just want to make sure everybody up here and our parking folks are comfortable with it.
I have a couple of follow-up questions. The first is, I am impressed with the building. It looks beautiful, but what would be comparable in the Detroit metropolitan area? Are there any other jewelry stores that you think would be comparable to what you're proposing?
There's only one true competitor of ours that does a similar business with similar brands, and it's in Novi. They have a store that's around 10 to 15,000 square feet. Please don't quote me, but it's a newer store, and it's something that I would say that's the only thing that's similar to what we're doing with a multi-brand, high-end brands like that.
And then I guess the second question is, I see the potential of this becoming a destination type of business, probably different than what you have right now, different clientele, higher end, what have you. Would you agree with that statement, or is that what you're working towards, or?
I would agree with that statement. I mean, we have a lot of experience in the industry, and I travel a lot. We're trying to build something that is a national staple for our industry here in Rochester.
Talk to, isn't there like a little, not bar, but a thing for people to relax, or remember that we did the presentation, that's still in there?
Yeah, 100%.
It's one destination, yeah.
This is a 100% destination store. You're completely right. So we're trying to build something that's a national staple for our industry, and we're going to advertise that as well. We have 3 stores in the Detroit metro area. We have a store in Birmingham that we just redid maybe in 2022 we went live with, and it's absolutely beautiful. If you ever get a chance to go down there, it fits in Birmingham though. When we did this Rochester store, we made sure we kept it the vibe of Rochester. Yes, new, yes, elegant, but timeless. And that's what we were going for in the inside of the store, which I can't wait to present soon. It's a really cool concept.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if I might, and I know he'll know this, the fire chief just retired. We had a plaque made for him. That plaque was in my former Southfield in the advanced building. Advanced building's 70,000 feet. You go in there, I asked somebody, the guard, there's probably $3 billion worth of jewelry in there. You walk in, everything's locked down. It's incredible what he would do on the inside, but it's no experience. You walk in and you look at the product, from watches to jewelry. Everything's so bright you can't see. You go in, do your business, and leave. There's no, and they have parking structures. Because they have probably 50 jewelers in that building. What I saw in the presentation you did, it's mind-numbing. You're going into a place. We talked to even the Royal Park, Give Thanks Bakery, people that will come from around the world to get these products. It was in the automotive industry. A lot of automotive people stayed at the Royal Park, and they went to Give Thanks because it's a European bakery, right? It was a German thing. And we talked about the economic impact of not just a jewelry store. When you see what the inside is, you're going to come into town, spend some hours there, and then you're going to stay. And so I think when you see all that, it'll help us also see 92 people never will go in there. They could be in the advanced building in different rooms, but never in what I saw. It's just too different.
One additional thing that's, I think, is very cool is that Rolex, it's a very big feather in our cap to be able to distribute for them. There's a lot of things that we have to do to remain compliant in order to distribute their product. They have about 250 stores in the U.S. That's 250 cities. There's multiple stores in the same city. They approved us to continue distribution and expand our distribution in downtown Rochester. That's huge. So that's a huge feather in all of our caps here in Rochester.
Thank you. Commissioners, any final questions, comments?
So, Mr. Chairman, if there was a motion, it would be to the next available meeting. And if we can get stuff done as fast as we can, I know they've been patient and been great working with you guys. You're doing a very thorough job. So we'll keep it moving here for sure.
I just have one quick comment. It's beautiful. There's no denying what you're doing. It's awesome. So I'm really excited about it, but I'm glad what you said about the parking. I think I just want to emphasize that because we're very, one spot, 2 spots, 3 spots. This is 62 spots. So I just want to make sure that, confirming that, let's not rush it. to make sure that the study, that the public knows we did our due diligence before that decision's made, so.
I would like to make a motion that we place the above-mentioned plan on the next available agenda for public hearing consideration of site plan approval, subject to the submission of a complete revised site plan addressing all the issues noted, and I'll follow up on the mayor, in particular, the parking. I mean, I think it's going to be incumbent to really demonstrate to us all the parking that's available, the use, and Mr. Stone, your expertise, and you know, what's capacity and the numbers, and we'll rely on the science. So, Mr. Peckins, for me at least, the more thorough and complete and exhaustive you can be in that parking study, it's better for the applicant, it's better for us, and frankly, better for city council, because that's where it's ultimately going to go.
Yeah.
Do we want to include a conditional approval on the parking at this point or next meeting? Okay. Do we have a second?
A second.
Second by the mayor. Roll call, please.
Kenjuk?
Yes.
Hauser?
Yes.
Jones?
Yes.
Bachman?
Yes.
Berlitich?
Yes.
Harden?
Yes.
Murphy?
Yes.
Stone?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Okay. The next item on the agenda is consideration for 215 South Main. It's a site plan approval with facade. This is otherwise known as Main Street Billiards.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So the request before you tonight is from Mr. Berendt on behalf of the property owner to make facade modifications to the business we all know as Main Street Billiards. It is located on the west side of Main Street between West 3rd and West 2nd Street and is in the Central Business District. Now, the drawings submitted list the use of the building as retail and entertainment, which is a billiards or a pool house. Now, retail uses are principal permitted use in the Central Business District. A pool place is classified as an indoor recreational facility. It is not permitted in the Central Business District. So the business is an existing legal non-conforming use. The applicant is allowed to make changes to the building. I believe the reason that triggers the changes to the facade is that per the applicant, the existing facade is deteriorating and the applicant needs to make improvements to it. So the changes being made to the building can be classified as maintenance and upkeep of the building itself. Now, from the site plan that has been submitted, the actual footprint of the building is unclear. So when they submitted a site plan, they are showing it contiguous with the building to the south. The building to the south also appears to be part of their property. So there is some error clearly delineating the separation wall between their building and the building to the south that needs to be clarified. The width of the sidewalk along Main Street needs to be noted. And once again, as in the previous case, we need to know what the distance is between the DDA planters and the building facade to ensure that there's adequate room for pedestrians. Now, the plan, if you look over here, I'll zoom in a little bit, it shows a narrow band of brick pavers along the alleyway of this site itself, which abuts landscape bed. This area is a landscape bed, and then there is this narrow planters. So based upon where the property line is shown, it looks like some of the planters, the landscape planter is actually located in the alley's right of way. So the applicant needs to actually clarify. If you look at the image, the street view of this area, you can actually see that there is a place for people to walk. There is striping next to this brick paver area. This is shown as a walking area. There is striping here. So the site plan needs to clearly reflect which part of it is located within the alley's right of way, and is there a place for pedestrians to walk? That is not clear, so that needs to be shown. Now, this site has no dedicated parking of its own, like most businesses in downtown. Per the project description, there is no change in the floor plan of the use at all. So at the time, the city had done its parking analysis for all of the existing businesses to grandfather them in. Main Street Billiards was already located on the site, and they are grandfathered in for their existing parking spaces. There is no change of use, so parking is not an issue at this time on this project. Now, based on the elevations, there is painting and reuse of the decorative light fixtures on the front facade. These fixtures are downward directed and they do meet and are consistent with what we see on other downtown buildings too. It's unclear if there is any mechanical equipment. If there is any proposed for the rooftop, it needs to be concealed from view, and that needs to be noted on the plan itself. Now, if you look at the front facade, this is what it currently is. I believe the applicant has already started some demolition work, so maybe some of this is no longer there. This is what the proposed facade is. So the plan is to remove the existing wood paneling and its replacement with dark brown stained cedar siding, addition of these black metal awnings, and painting of the columns and black tiles at the base of each. So if you look, there are black tiles shown over here, and the columns are also going to be painted and refaced. The use of these darker, bolder colors, if you look at what the existing building is and what the proposed facade is, this is a striking facade. So it sort of also lends itself, even though it's not brick, the applicant is trying to reface the existing materials on the building facade. Actually, the cedar siding is an improvement on the existing deteriorating wood paneling over here. It seems more cohesive with the brick building that is located next to it itself. There is a colored rendering for the Planning Commission to make the determination regarding integration of this building into the facade itself. Now, if you look at the package submitted, we have only the front facades. The rear facade of the building has not been submitted. There are no elevations. Now, the rear facade is the same as it currently is. In my review letter, I actually have an image from Google Street View. The front and the back of the building look like two completely different buildings once it's renovated. So when so much attention is being paid to the front, the rear elevation also needs to be updated because the site has located to the west of the site, and people will be parking and entering the building most likely to the rear entrance. There is a clearly defined rear entrance into the building. So facade update needs to be done to the rear elevation also to match the front facade so that the entire building looks like it has been updated. As I previously mentioned, there is a landscape bed on the rear of the building. A note regarding maintenance of the landscaping is required. Some of it appears heavily overgrown. And from elevations, there are new signs for Main Street Billiards being installed. These signs need to be submitted to the city administration for approval prior to installation to make sure that it meets the sign ordinance requirements. So our recommendation is that the Planning Commission place this facade renovation for this building for consideration of site plan approval on your next agenda, subject to the applicant addressing all of the comments that are listed in our review letter dated January 25th. I would be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Vidya. Commissioners, do you have any questions or comments? Is the applicant in the audience? Is there anything you'd like to say about the project, please? And if you would, your name and address for the record.
Yep, Roger Barrett, 6435 Apple Orchard Lane, Rochester Hills. So we obviously were here previously, and just to fill everyone in on the backstory, this started as a maintenance project, as Vidya described. So there are deteriorating panels on the front of the building. As they were proceeding, the work was stopped, and then we were told we had to come back for the Planning Commission. Subsequently, did the full submittal and all the things, and now we have the review letter. So we're happy to discuss some of these points, and I'll just quickly walk through. Primarily, about 7 of the comments are more housekeeping items on the drawings that we're more than happy to address. Comment 4 and comment 8, so the parking, yes, it's grandfathered in, no issue there. And then major improvement in visually striking, I would like to note that, because we believe it is. So that only leaves 2 comments, and that's comment 5 and comment 9. So comment 5 is about the trash enclosure in the back. As Vidya noted, it's empty most of the time. That is for the grease that comes from the restaurant itself. So it's not always have the grease container in it. It just comes out when it's full. They pick it up and then it goes back in. So that leaves us with the rear elevation comment. This started as a targeted maintenance project. It wasn't intended to be the full building or the rear entrance, so, and Larry can speak to this a little bit, but it frankly wasn't really budgeted for to do that part of the building. It's not deteriorating, and it's not the main facade of the building, so they would rather not do it, to be frank, but we're happy to comply with everything else that has been said on here. We do think it's a major improvement to Main Street, and I had one other point about it. I would just say that, you know, we came in to improve the facade, and then you get an 11-point letter saying you got all these other site issues. It is a bit chilling to get that as a client and then trying to explain it to my client, like, hey, I know you're just trying to fix up your own building in the city. So I do think it is something that needs a little bit of discussion because they own 4 buildings in the town. He's much more reluctant to do the next one since this started in September and we're in February. Now, part of that's our delay. We took a month or 2 to get drawings in. But it's just something for you to consider that this process is a little difficult for someone who's just trying to improve a facade and do what we would consider relative maintenance on an older building, so. I don't know if you have any comments about the rear facade.
I'm Larry Larson, 8746 North Eston, Clarkston, Michigan. Property manager of this particular building here. My goal was to repair the rotted wood that was on the front of the building, which I was, to the understanding, it was a maintenance situation. And then construction was stopped. I was about 3 days away from completing the project. We had no intentions on doing anything with the rear of the building, as it's all intact. There might be some slight drive-it repairs, holes that got knocked into it, or animals or critters or whatever. But we had no intentions on redoing something that was already done. This rear facade was done years ago, and it has always been different from the front of the building. The front's columns with wood. The whole back of this building's always been in drive-it, or been in drive-it for quite some time now. My job is to go, I have many buildings from Flint all the way down to Detroit. My job is to go through and find and make corrections to these buildings as needed. Main Street Billiards, we had some panels in that were falling off the front of the building. It needed to be addressed. Our intentions were to pretty up the front of this building, get rid of the rotted wood, put new wood on. That's pretty much all I have.
Thank you. Mr. Hauser.
Sure, and I appreciate your sentiment. You know, we dealt with this, I think, not too long ago with Assistance League. You know, they came to want to get a retail component, and the next thing you know, we're making them do all these other things, and that's not anyone's fault other than the ordinance's fault, okay? And the ordinance says that if you come in for X, then we're allowed to do Y and Z, and that's all that's happening here. So, you know, looking on a, you know, from a big perspective, maybe that's something that the commission or even city council has to look at and say, hey, is this really what the intent is of this ordinance? Is this what we want? But at the same time, the challenge that we're going to have is not enforcing what is on the books, because everyone before you, as you may have been at these same meetings, we've held them to the same standard. So I appreciate what you're saying, but we got to follow the steps here. So I think, you know, we're certainly willing to, or at least I am willing to look at the big picture here, but I understand what you're saying.
I have one question,
Ms.
Mr.
Murphy.
Chair. So when you were going to replace the wood, when it was strictly a maintenance issue, the front would have looked exactly the same, or it would have looked like the new?
No, it wouldn't have been the same. It would have been a different wood material. The wood that's on there now is a plywood material. It's deteriorating. We didn't want to put the plywood back on and have the same situation happen. So we look for a product that would hold up to time. Cedar is a very good product, holds up to the weather elements and that, would hold up for decades. We try to give it a nice feel with the tongue and groove cedar, rather than just flat panels of plywood.
Right.
We didn't want to really just cover the whole front of the building in the drive-it material. To me, that would look more modern. So that's where we came out and chose the cedar to put on there.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Mayor?
Procedurally, I'd like to discuss the rear of the building a little bit more, because it does seem like that was an add-on, and I'd like to understand more ordinance-wise. I do feel like there could be that little minor something done where the grease goes, because it is a bit of an eyesore, so I don't know if that's a little compromise, maybe do something a little more, a little taller, a little something, so it's not so bad. But what is, because I kind of feel what you're saying about the rear of the building, so. Biddy.
If I may, Mr.
Yes, please.
Yes. So I understand the applicant's concern. I can understand where they're coming from. That said, the Planning Commission has always consistently required the entire facades to be modified. We have a number of examples, from the cocktail lounge that was approved not so long ago to the DNC rooftop. Every building, we make sure that the front and the back both are looked at so it looks cohesive. So maybe the applicant in this case does not need to do a full facade relift of the rear of the building, but they can definitely stain the ephes or add some wood paneling or something to at least make it look like it's not two separate buildings from the front and the back. If Main Street Billiards is having a new branding in the front, it should look consistent in the back, even if not in materials, at least in the proposed colors. You can see from the screen over here, if I'll just share what the current color scheme of this building is, you can clearly see this is what the back looks like, and now this is what the front is going to look like. It's two different buildings. So even if on the back, whatever columns are there or the ephes that is there, if it could be stained to maybe a darker color, brown or something, that sort of at least makes it look like it is one building, that would go towards meeting the intent of the ordinance. But not even touching the back should not be an option, because the Planning Commission has applied the same rule to every building. The applicant cannot be an exception to the rule.
Thank you.
Commissioners, any other questions?
I have a question, Mr. Chairman. What exactly is deteriorating on the front?
The wood siding itself, being that it was plywood, I'm sure it was an exterior type plywood decades ago, but it's rotted, holes.
So I guess with that, I'm just curious why leaving it there and installing a new facade over the top of it is a wise choice? Is that going to last long? Are you concerned about if it's rotting and deteriorating? It seems like it's.
The new material is anchored right to the stud structure that's behind it. There's no need to really to remove all of the rotted wood, remove the deteriorated areas. But being that the cedar would attach right to the studs itself, the fern that's on it now are attached to the studding that's behind the substrate that's on it now.
Okay, that makes sense. Did you remove the gutters when you were working on this originally?
One gutter was removed on the south side there. It removed because more than a third of it was already detached, rotted from the fascia boards and falling. So removing was the best option to do there.
Okay, well, I just looked at it today, this afternoon, and I think maybe from a maintenance safety standpoint, that entire facade has massive icicles hanging from it. A little concerned about one of those falling on somebody walking down the sidewalk. I don't know if we can enforce that from a code perspective or what, but that needs to be addressed obviously sooner than later before you're ready for construction. I was shocked walking down the sidewalk seeing like, oh boy, I don't want to walk right here. I'm going to walk furthest away from the building as possible. So just something to keep in mind before you pull the trigger, whenever that may be with this construction, because it's bad. I couldn't tell if there were gutters there still. It was just so iced over, and it just, it's
There's no
bad.
gutter
So-
there now.
Yeah.
We didn't replace the gutter yet because we weren't quite finished with the repairs where the gutter's gonna be attached, the fascia boards and that. They still have to be trimmed out and that. So attaching a new gutter, would definitely it would have to be removed so we can, finish our construction of the building. Only put the gutter back on, the second time, so. And there was never a gutter on the north side. I know that was of concern at some point, but there was never a gutter on that side.
Mr. Manager, I guess I got a question, considering what Vidya said regarding, at least painting it or staining the rear. Is that something they need to work through administration with, or can we decide that today, or what would you suggest?
They're asking to have the front facade done. I don't think anywhere in the ordinance says you have to do the back. It might have been policy. I can tell you, a long time ago, we had DDA grants because people were doing the front and they didn't have the money to do the
Right,
back.
right.
So we gave them grants. So I don't think it's been mandatory. I don't disagree with Vidya that it would be nice to do. It's a separate look, and you can't see the front and the back at the same time, so they have a different look in the back of their building. It doesn't bother us that it should be safe and cleaned up, and if it needs a coat of paint on, drive it, that's fine, but I don't know that you need to do a total facade. I personally don't see the need in that.
Don't see the need to do anything?
To go full out back in to match the front. Understand why, the opportunity's there, but it doesn't say you have to. It's negotiated.
I guess I'll ask the applicant directly, would you have any opposition to painting the back to match the front?
Not opposed to painting and trying to match the front in some sort. But again, my job was to fix something that was crumbling, and that was the front of the building. I never looked at the back as being a problem at the time, so it's not something that we had planned to do. It's not something that we're opposed to doing. I mean, and it would have to, require the tenant themselves. I mean, they have branding there as the pool hall. He's been there for over 30 years. We want his input as far as if he's up for painting or doing different things to his building, the look of the back of the building also. So, but no, I would have to say that I don't think that we're opposed to doing any type of painting or matching of some sort to the front.
So we're just looking to set a public hearing this evening so we can continue the conversation. And I can give you an example. My own house was built in 1922. They had it on the back. They wanted to respect the 1922 siding. So it's one shade of green. The additions, which you can't see from the street, is a little bit different, so they differentiate. So again, I was here when they did the Drive It. We didn't really love Drive It, but we didn't have anything that stopped them from doing Drive It. But that is a look of Main Street Billiards in the back. And again, if it was white, Drive It, and the new stuff on the same side, I'd say 100% make a match, but this is totally different worlds. The alley's totally different than the front, so. It doesn't seem like we're hurting the city's look when the alley's different. Busy Buzz has a mural in the back, doesn't match the front. We have alleys. Alleys are a little bit different. They never traditionally look like the front. They're not both front yards, so. Just a comment.
So, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
So we're just setting the public hearing tonight anyway, so you could speak to the person that's in that building and maybe come back when we have with more information.
Enid or something, I think that'd be great.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
I will make a motion for 215 South Main to set a public hearing at the next available meeting.
Second.
Support. We're set.
Any questions about the motion or any comments? Roll call, please.
Kenjuk?
Yes.
Hauser?
Yes.
Jones?
Yes.
Bachman?
Yes.
Burlitich,
Yes.
Harden,
Yes.
Murphy,
Yes.
Stone.
Yes.
See you next time.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Okay, next item on the agenda for consideration of 413 South Main, request to set a public hearing for payment in lieu of parking.
Hello. Yep, so 413 South Main is currently Shamrock Travel. They got approached the Candy Attic, who's currently in Dakatala's building. They wanted to move to Main Street. So they worked out a deal with Shamrock that's where they're going to try to end up. So Shamrock is going to move the office to the back. Candy Attic will be in the front on Main Street. Because we have an ordinance that doesn't allow office on the first floor anymore, no new office can be put in, obviously, but now that they're reseeding the office, it couldn't go back to office, let's say in a couple years if the Candy Attic was to need a bigger space or find a new building. So this reseeding of the office is going to stay with the building moving forward. So they are short one parking space, and that's what they are asking for tonight.
And this is just to set the public hearing, correct?
Correct.
I will make a motion to set the public hearing for 413 South Main, payment in lieu of parking for one spot.
Support.
Mr. Berdelich supports. Any questions about? Pretty straightforward.
Is this your business? I'm so excited you're possibly going to Main Street.
Would you like to make a comment, sir? You've been waiting a long time.
I was wondering, I didn't mean to jump
One
the gun,
person
Jeremy.
left.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
So my name's Steve Leathers, 6-year veteran Michigan Guard, crew chief on F-16s at Selfridge. My day job, I'm a key account manager, basically work with all the tool builders in town, Kuka, Kamau, for a large automation company. So, key account manager for that, and then at the nighttime, I own a candy store on weekends. So, real quick history, I didn't think I would get in the candy business, but my sister and I co-own it. So our father passed about 3 years ago. All his life, 16 years old, worked for J.L. Hudson's downtown. Retired from there, and he always had, since 1970, we had a lot of gift shops, country stores, and a lot of it was nostalgic items, and mainly candy in the barrels and all that good stuff. So when he passed, I wanted nothing to do with it, to be honest, but I decided it was a good thing for us to do, and we were just going to keep the online portion going. And then my sister decided, let's just make it a little store for now. So it took us 4 years to get an opportunity to move to Main Street. So I appreciate you guys, hearing us out. But we bring a lot of great things, with that nostalgic vibe. We get, most of our customers, people think screaming kids running around, snotty noses. That's not the case. Our store brings in folks from, our average is probably, besides the kids, right? You're always going to have kids, but we get probably 35 to 90-year-olds that are our main clients, customers. And we love it. I mean, we've got grandpas coming in with their kids, and they're in their 50s, and they're crying, telling them stories about what, because it's not just candy. That's why we like it. We're giving back, we're giving memories, and that's what we grew up with. I was running the register that's in our store right now when I was 6 years old. It was, sorry, but that was child labor, but that's the way it was in the 70s, unfortunately. But, so yeah, I appreciate you guys taking your time to hear us out.
Will you still have at the farmer's market on the weekends too? Because I know you're out there on Saturdays.
Yeah.
Okay.
We ran into a little bit of a snag this year. It got a little hot.
Yeah.
Doesn't go well with
I get you. I understand.
a lot of the candy. So I'm going to work with the folks, Taylor, and try to get to spring and do late fall. But we did enjoy that as well. And of course, everybody's like, where are you at? Where are you at? And
Yeah.
it's a tough spot we're in, and we're excited to have the opportunity to move.
Excellent.
We appreciate all you did for me, helped me out. I didn't know the process about this. I'm new to all this, so I appreciate everybody's patience. I messed up on the sign once. The fire marshal took it, but I've learned. Quick learn.
Did he rip it up in front of you?
No, he said, we hate taking them. You can come pick it up.
Aw.
So, anyhow, but thank you so
Awesome.
much.
Appreciate
Thank
that.
you.
Giving me time.
Yeah.
Roll call, please.
Kenjuk?
Yes.
Hauser?
Yes.
Jones?
Yes.
Bachman? Yes. Bilotich?
Yes.
Hardin?
Yes.
Murphy?
Yes.
Stone?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Next item on the agenda is miscellaneous. Lead with Lydia. You want to cover the report, please?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So under the Michigan's Planning Enabling Act, it is required that at the end of every year, the Planning Commission compile a report of all their activities and accomplishments in the year and send it over to the City Council. So this gives the City Council an idea of what exactly the Planning Commission has accomplished. This report also includes some details about what the Planning Commission is hoping to work on in addition to any site plans that come throughout the year. So it helps the City Council also decide on a budget. How are they going to go about granting funds for the Planning Commission to do its activity? So this report is before you tonight. It basically says that in 2025, the Planning Commission had 14 meetings. Out of them, one of which was a joint meeting with City Council that was held in January as a workshop. And then one was the training session that was conducted in October. You also worked on adopting the new zoning map along with the updated zoning ordinance. The Planning Commission had held multiple public hearings. The planning consultant, John Jackson, had held multiple open houses to meet with individual property owners and to describe and answer their questions and concerns regarding the potential zoning change to their properties. The Planning Commission worked on and sent it to City Council, which is where it is currently. The City Council is still working through some things before they can officially hold their public hearing and adopt it. The Planning Commission did work on a whole bunch of site plans and some special projects too. The Zoning Board of Appeals met 4 times in 2025, and basically most of their cases also they recommended approval of. In October, the Zoning Board of Appeals referred 3 items for Planning Commission's consideration because they believe these items were coming before them repeatedly. Typically, when something goes before the ZBA multiple times, you need to take a look at your zoning ordinance to see whether your zoning needs to be changed to address it. The 3 items were excluding front porches from lot coverage calculations. The second one was to raise the height of single-family residential homes, and the third one was to allow for carriage-style garages, which is basically front yard or courtyard loaded garages in the front, whereas right now our ordinance allows only the garages to be located in the rear. So Planning Commission discussed it and decided they did not want to amend the ordinance to allow exemption for front porches or raise the building height, which was the correct thing to do. Because Rochester, west side of Rochester has got a lot of smaller lots. Increasing the building height even by 1 feet or exempting the front porch will increase the mass of the structure on these lots that much more and change the character of the area. So the Planning Commission said no to those 2. The Planning Commission did understand the challenge with regard to garages being only located in the rear yard. The request was that front carriage-style garages be allowed on properties where there is a significant grade change in the rear such that a rear garage cannot be accommodated. The Planning Commission understood that that was a challenge, but they did not want to change the zoning ordinance for it. They believe that that truly is a practical difficulty and that needs to be determined on a case-by-case basis and should continue to go back before the ZBA. Once again, that was the right thing to do. With regard to 2026, what we hope the Planning Commission can work on, the Planning Commission can always add to this list. Hopefully, we will adopt the new zoning map and the updated zoning ordinance, revise the zoning ordinance to remove any discrepancies or conflicts. The zoning ordinance is a voluminous document. We are making wholesale changes to it to match up with the new zoning districts. There are bound to be a few places where there are conflicts. So we hope to go through it and remove all those conflicts, make sure all the cross-references are correct, follow the recommendation of Michigan Zoning Enabling Act for the Planning Commission to participate in finalizing the capital improvements plan before sending it over to the City Council. I believe City Manager Banda is working on it. I know he is actively getting the stuff together to bring before the Planning Commission for you to send on. South Street, this is something the Planning Commission would need to consider working on later this street. South Street, when we discussed the master plan, was frequently an issue of discussion as to why is it research technology? Why is it not mixed use? Because it's right next to the river. There were lots of questions. There was concerns. Maybe it is only 2 lanes. South Street needs to be improved. What would be the volume of traffic? So the whole South Street area, there does not seem to be, even at this present time, a common consensus on what it should look like. That is one of the reasons why I believe the zoning ordinance and the zoning map is a little bit stalled at City Council, because there are several questions with regard to South Street area. Maybe the goal should be, once the zoning map and the zoning ordinance are adopted in the current format, we should go in and do a sub-area plan for South Street. It might be one of the next important areas that need to be focused on. And finally, develop a sustainable housing program so that there are long-term housing options available for the residents. Over the past few years, there is a concept in planning called missing middle housing. It's basically when you have younger families, young professionals, the cost of homeownership is so high that most of them cannot afford to live in most of these places. The newer homes being built in Rochester are easily in the upper 800, 900, if not million and above. So the missing middle housing is basically a housing type that is between apartments and between single family. These are the townhouses, the multiplexes, the things that make it more attainable for younger families and people of all walks of life, multi-generational housing, people who have lived in Rochester all their life. Once they retire, they don't want the maintenance of the single-family home, but they don't want to leave the city either. This is where their heart is. They need to have housing options. So the city has got limited land area, but this has been a focus in all planning circles across the country pretty much. How do we provide for housing to suit every generation and to suit every demographic group? So that is something we probably need to look on, is a good project for the Planning Commission to work on this year. So the goal is for this report to be accepted by the Planning Commission and forwarded to the City Council officially.
Mr. Snow?
Thank you.
Vidya, with regard to sustainable housing, we often compare the city of Rochester to other municipalities of equal size and demographics, such as Plymouth, Clarkston, maybe fringe Birmingham. Do they have sustainable housing programs that we can model ourselves after? Because personally, I think it sounds like a great ideology that will not be accepted locally here. I think there's extremely limited buildable space. No one's going to want this near their home in their area. You know, we've had multiple projects come through, and the developers claim that they can't bankroll a job unless they're charging, you know, $800,000 to $1 million for these 4,500 square foot condos or townhomes, and then we watch them sit empty for years at a time. So I don't know the math on that. I don't know if there are public funds available to make these projects go, but again, ideology, it sounds great. I just don't believe it has a home in Rochester.
So last year, the MEDC granted grant funds to multiple municipalities. I mean, you had to apply for it. Rochester was in the middle of this whole master plan implementation, so it was not something that was on the radar, so we did not go for it. But McKenna has multiple clients. I think over 20 of our clients got the grant from the state to do a study. It was a housing study. The housing study basically assessed all of the housing stock available within the community. What is the median price range? What is the demographic composition of the community? What is their attainable? You know, the term affordable housing no longer is valid, because what is affordable in Rochester is unaffordable in another community. So affordability depends on what the median income range is for that area. So it's more of attainable housing, not affordable. So the study aimed to find out what the demographic was, what is the median household income, what is the demographic composition in terms of age, what type of housing will be received over here, and can it be accommodated? There is a misconception that sustainable housing means low-income housing. That's not what it is. Sustainable housing has got nothing to do with low-income housing. It is just identifying housing types that will suit every demographic. And that's why you cannot make changes to a zoning ordinance to make that happen without doing a larger housing study of the entire community. I can't recollect, at least in the last decade plus, Rochester having done a housing study where all the housing stock was evaluated, the median income demographic, everything was evaluated, and the missing pockets of this housing was found. Once you find that, you can then tailor as to what kind of developments. And you're correct, Commissioner Stone, there's not much room in Rochester to provide more of this housing, but the next time a project comes before you as a special project, that is the time when it's got a housing component for you to see, is any part of this special project that is mixed use, can it also be able to provide some of the sustainable housing? If you recollect our Sustainable Rochester, that worksheet that we have, 20-point indicator system, the last 5 indicators are for housing. And one of this is you have to provide at least so much housing that is affordable. Unfortunately, none of the projects that have been approved in the city so far have scored that point. They've all gotten 0 across the board because none of them were in any way, shape, or form meeting the baseline. So without doing a study and assessing our housing stock and finding out if there is a missing need, and if it's missing, what exactly do we need and what kind of changes do we need to make to the ordinance, we're not going to be able to know that. So we have to take step 1 before we even know where this would head. So that is why a housing study to start with is very important.
Thank you.
So, Vidya, you said none of the projects that were approved have met the missing middle yet. I was here when the Solaronics project was recently approved. They said 500 to 800. Is that, at least on the lower end, not conform somewhat?
Yes. It is closer. It's probably the only project that was closer to being affordable compared to all the other projects that, like the Blossom Mills never came through, but the other ones we looked at, the Overlook upon Letica, which did not materialize, but Riverfront, Park Place, 210 Diversion, the Preserves, I don't think any one of them are even remotely close to that. The Solaronics project was probably the closest because it had some of these smaller homes. Now, attainable housing does not necessarily mean cheap housing. It just means these homes are not so big. They're maybe smaller, more compact. Younger professionals these days don't want a huge house in suburbia, which comes with its own yard maintenance, home maintenance, and all that. They want to live in compact townhouses, which have high-end finishes on the inside and spend their money on eating outside, enjoying the great outdoors, and those are the things that they have a priority. This is what I gleaned from a couple of housing studies that I just completed for a couple of my other clients. We realized that the younger generation said, we do not want what, they referred to me, they said what you middle-aged people like, your big homes in the suburbs with it's 3-bedroom, 3-bath houses. We don't want that. We want compact townhouses. Yeah, they squarely put me in the old senior citizen category immediately when I was trying to explain single family to them. So we'll have to do those analyses. But yes, you're correct, Commissioner Buckman. Solaronics is probably the closest to that baseline that we had.
They're going to be 500.
Well,
that was a selling point.
Well, I kind of
That was a
suspected that at the time because I thought they said 2,500 square feet with a garage. And I said, 500 to 800. And I actually told a couple other people about that, and they were very excited about it too. They go, I might buy one of those if that turns out to be true. I didn't think that was bad.
So how is a housing study something we can implement? Because I'd be very supportive of that.
If I may, so 2 things. Caution. If you adopt exactly what Vinnie just said, you are making a statement that you believe what the opposite of what Mr. Stone just said. If you keep that in your recommendation. I get very frustrated as other hat now, Economic Development Director. Why don't we get credit for Main Street to Inglewood, Alice and Helen? There are homes you can buy down there for $200,000. Why does it have to be new housing?
Not 200,000.
Oh, yes.
There's nothing.
Somebody just sold one for $210
$350.
down the street. So even then, okay, get credit for $350. Why don't we get credit for, the good news, a study might show that we have 1,000 units that are under the threshold that would meet what Vidia's talking about. I think if you're talking about, new stuff has to be that, unless you have government subsidy, there's no way. You can't afford, no developer can afford to buy the homes.
I agree. We've done this long enough. We've seen enough people come through.
It's the market that drives it
We
now.
ask them all the time, what are you going to charge?
Making more dirt.
Exactly, so we don't,
doesn't
so I
exist.
would think a study would prove out, we have the missing middle.
Right.
So if we can get somebody to help pay for that study, I'm all for it.
Well,
But just to say, but if when you say that's important to you, to say the study's important to you is one thing. To make a statement that you believe that we need to provide new housing for the missing middle, that's a huge statement. I wouldn't take that lightly personally.
I would personally be very much in favor of doing the housing study, because I think it will prove out many things that we may not realize. At any given time, if you take a look at Realtor.com, you're going to find, and I do this quite frequently, you're going to find 5 or 6 homes for sale for under $200,000, as hard as that may believe. And if you raise that number to $300,000, there's probably 12 or so, 10 or 12 that are for sale at any given time. So, and then if you're familiar with this missing middle, it doesn't just talk about the middle, it talks about all housing options. It's a book that was written, if I'm not mistaken, in the 70s, and part of it talks about high-rise apartments and condominiums. I don't think anybody in Rochester wants to approve a high-rise.
Right.
So if we're going to talk about all the available housing, I think we're going to have to take a look at everything that's possible. It includes duplexes, triplexes, quadplexes, garden-style apartments, single-family homes, single-family detached condos, and so on and so forth. So there's probably a dozen or more options that we would need to consider if we're going to implement this plan. Before we get that far, I think we need to figure out where are we and what do we truly need.
I agree, and I think that would help us, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, Mary.
Help us in the discussion with the residents, because we hear that a lot. You know, my kids just moved back, they can't find a house, blah, 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 they have to live in Royal Oak or Ferndale, whatever. So I would really support, same as Chair said, to do a housing study.
I think it'll set a baseline.
Yeah.
But the current objective needs to be rewritten.
Yes.
It says develop sustainable housing program, which means
That I agree with
build
too.
something new.
Yeah.
That's what that says.
Because that's a mandate.
Absolutely. Yeah, please go ahead and you can strike out and rewrite the sentence before you would like to send it on to City Council. You can always write, explore or, research the existing housing stock within the city of Rochester to understand housing availability and needs. You can phrase it like that rather than say you have to provide it.
Yeah, I think
Conduct a
that's
study.
perfect. And then we move from there, once we have real knowledge, so that's
Agreed,
good.
100%.
Yeah.
Vidi, if I may, who or where did all these goals and objectives come from? Are these simply recommendations by McKenna, or did you talk to any of the planning commissioners?
Oh, these are recommendations from McKenna, myself and John Jackson. We typically, based on our experience working for a municipality over all the periods of time, part of our job is to keep a pulse on what is happening in planning and to make sure that a community looks forward.
Okay.
That said, it is the Planning Commission's prerogative to add to this list or remove anything from this list.
Yeah.
It is your report, so you can make the determination.
Well, I agree.
Wait a month, digest it, and then come back with your ideas possible.
Yes. First of all, if I may just make these statements, I do agree with changing the wording on the sustainable housing, and let's start with a study. But beyond that, I would also like to add a couple of things, one being updating or clarifying the design standards per, I believe it's section 2118 of the ordinance. That's something we've been talking about for quite some long time. I know that's been championed by Commissioner Bachmann. But I think it's time, because we need to set some guidelines and be upfront when we're talking to developers and builders in terms of what's allowable and what's not. And then as an extension of that, I would also, if the commissioners are in agreement, I'd like to create a, for lack of a better term, or maybe we call it something else, a process improvement work group that would include admin, the planner, the commissioners, and also, some builders and designers and possibly other parties to talk about what can we do to make the process more streamlined and more attractive so that we can draw more developers and builders into the city to work. I hate to say this, but as I've been talking with people, and I've been on the commission now for a little more than 3 years, I think we're starting to get a bad reputation as being hard to deal with. We've had this conversation, so I would like to include that as an objective. And then I don't know if the third one that's on my list, which is to, I've labeled it align the master plan with the zoning ordinances. I think that's covered in the first two statements in your recommendations.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
So
yes,
if that being the case, if there's no objection from the commissioners, I would like to at least add the design standards and the process improvement work group.
I would support that.
I understand.
Is there anything else that you folks would like to add or delete?
I'm a little confused on what the action is. Are we approving a change here, or are we requesting the planner revise and represent it?
Revise the document.
Represent it, okay.
May
I would just add
may I
to amend the
suggest-
bylaws. Sorry, go ahead, Vidya.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I apologize for interrupting. May I suggest that you go ahead and accept the annual report and send it on to the City Council and take out the sheet that is 2026 goals and objectives. I will revise it and I'll bring it back to you at your next meeting so you can then send it on separately to City Council. You don't need to tie the goals and objectives to your annual report.
Okay, good. If I may, then, a couple of changes I would suggest on the accomplishments. One, I'd like to acknowledge Eric Lord's participation. He left in January of 2025.
Oh.
And then to clarify, Mr. Harden started in March of 2025. He replaced Mr. Lord.
I'll make a motion to send up to City Council the Planning Commission 2025 accomplishments and pulling out the 2026 goals and objectives to a later date.
And then if we may, add the
Yes, subject to the
26
conditions.
goals and objectives for the next agenda and ask that all the commissioners come with their ideas or how they want to write them.
Yeah, I didn't know if we'd go that way or just send them to her and have her revise, whatever.
Don't wait till next meeting, like, we're going to take action at the next meeting.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
We don't need to have a
You
motion.
need a second to accept the report.
Second and then a vote, yeah.
I'll second.
Thank you.
So just for clarification, Commissioner Hausers, did his motion include addition of Eric Lord and?
Subject to Mr. Kenzig's comments.
Oh, that's what
Yes.
you're referring to?
Yes.
Okay.
I will make the corrections to that sheet and send it to Nick to be included in the City Council's packet. The corrections will be in there.
Okay. The roll, please.
Kenjuk,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Hauser,
Yes.
Bachman,
Yes.
Milotic,
Yes.
Harden,
Yes.
Murphy,
Yes.
Stone.
Yes.
Okay. Last item, there's no one left here in chambers for public comment. Rose, is there anyone online?
No one's online.
No, that's
All
not a
right.
surprise.
It is 9:23. We are adjourned.
Nicely done.
Thank you.
What did you do?